We are creating viewer-supported news. Become a member. Whistleblowers and victims have been coming forward for decades trying to expose the elite and their use of occult rituals to gain power, commonly referred to as black magic. From sexual abuse by different power circles such as the Vatican to secret men's clubs like the one held annually at Bohemian Grove in California to satanic rituals, it's clear that there must be some truth to these stories. Advertisement. Learn more. The latest whistleblower to make headlines is Ronald Bernard, a Dutch entrepreneur whose experience in the financial world and impressive contact list quickly pulled him into the world of the financial elite. In an interview with Divergent Media, Bernard explains some of the darkest secrets within these societies, which even includes rituals performed with human sacrifices. Though Bernard's background in the finance industry is definitely real, it's important to note that there's no way to actually verify his story. However, this isn't the first time the elite has been accused of using occult, satanic, and sexual rituals, so it certainly merits further investigation. These claims are disheartening and astonishing, and as human beings, we naturally don't want to believe that any of us would be capable of such dark, violent acts. Nevertheless, it's for that very reason that stories like these deserve to be explored. Ronald Bernard discusses elite rituals and human sacrifices. I was warned off when I got into this. Don't do this unless you can put your conscience 100% in the freezer. I heard myself laugh at it back then, but it wasn't a joke at all. Bernard explained. I was training to become a psychopath and I failed. Bernard started by explaining how he and a group of colleagues, or financial terrorists, crashed the Italian economy. The economic downturn ultimately resulted in a number of suicides and so much destruction, which the financial elite actually celebrated with Bernard. Advertisement. Learn more. His interview continues. One of my colleagues said, Ronald, you remember that case with the Italian lira? Do you remember those deals in which we did massive dumping of the lira, which reduced the value of the currency, which caused a company in Italy to be hit in such a way that they went bankrupt? And then you hear at the exchange, do you remember that successful deal with the lira? And then they say, do you know that the owner committed suicide and left a family behind? And back then we laughed at it. Ha ha ha, all together, all of us. We looked down on people, mocked them. It was just a product, waste, everything was worthless trash. Nature, the planet, everything could burn and break. Just useless parasites. As long as we met our goals, as long as we were growing. Of course, this was only the beginning of the deception involved with the financial elite in Europe, and Bernard hadn't even come close to experiencing the worst of it. What came next was his introduction to Satanism, a practice that the elite allegedly used through rituals to gain more power. To put it carefully, most people followed a not very mainstream religion. These people, most of them, were Luciferians. And then you can say, religion is a fairy tale, God doesn't exist, none of that is real. Well, for these people it is truth and reality, and they served something immaterial which they called Lucifer. And I also was in contact with those circles, only I laughed at it because to me they were just clients. So I went to places called churches of Satan. So I visited these places and they were doing their holy mass with naked women and liquor and stuff. And it just amused me. I didn't believe in any of this stuff and was far from convinced any of this was real. In my opinion, the darkness and evil is within the people themselves. I didn't make the connection yet. So I was a guest in those circles and it amused me greatly to see all those naked women and the other things. It was the good life. But then at some moment, which is why I am telling you this, I was invited to participate in sacrifices abroad. The next part of the interview deals with who exactly the elite were sacrificing, and unfortunately, Bernard expressed that they used children as the human sacrifices. The concept of sacrifices was explained very well during an Alex Jones interview with Sean Stone, director, screenwriter, actor, and son of the infamous Oliver Stone. If they want to control the Middle East, or the music industry, they have to make a sacrifice to these demons. Whether it's children or soldiers at war, they always respond to signs and symbols. For example, the pyramid shape, the five-sided star, the six-sided star, they congregate around these signs. This is why major corporate symbols are full of Illuminati symbols. That's why when you wear those clothes, or buy those products, you are giving power to that entity, you are giving energy to it, you are giving it power over you. Source. Bernard continued to explain the sacrifices and where he drew the line, stating, that was the breaking point. Children. You were asked to do that, asks the interviewer. Yes, and I couldn't do that. Bernard explains, and then I started to slowly break down. I lived through quite a lot as a child myself and this really touched me deeply. Everything changed, but that is the world I found myself in. And then I started to refuse assignments within my job.